I resented myself because I realized how much of my own self-worth was dependent on what others thought of me. Even going back to Vegas, I was upset that I let Sean down by not showing up. I hated everything about this conclusion. All the things I did for others, to impress others, to have them tell me thank you, to have them tell me I'm proud of you. It was the whole thing. My whole life has been an if this, then that statement. If I do this for you, then you will give me love. I hated my reliance on other people. I felt they set me up for this realization. If I take away all of those big rocks in the jar, the thing that is, then the thing is basically fucking empty.
What the hell's going on out here?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Spite. As always, I am your host, Dr. James Taylor. And this is part 2 of whatever the hell this is. So, if you have not watched these episodes recently, I'm going to bring you up to speed, but I strongly suggest you go back and watch the previous solo episode because it lays the groundwork for everything we're about to get into. This is going to get deep, and not deep as in like, full of bullshit. There will be bullshit, but there's a reckoning going on. There's something happening in the universe of which I am the center of. That's appropriate. So go back, watch the last episode. It's about 22 minutes, something like that, but it lays the groundwork for this. That being said, I'm going to bring you up to speed here real quick. I had a chance to go out to Vegas to catch UFC with some friends, some colleagues, a coach, and Michael Chandler, a UFC fighter. He's got a fight coming up here in November, and he's chasing down the title. So I go to Vegas. It's a shit show. And not in like a good Vegas-y shit show kind of way. It's a shit show for me and me personally. And this sets the tone and gets the ball rolling for what I am currently in as I'm recording this. And again, like I said, it's a reckoning. It is a earth-shaking change. As you could tell, I'm at a loss for words. So I go to Vegas. It ends here. It goes horribly, ends terribly. Come back, and all of a sudden, my mind is taking in all of its surroundings and applying it to everything that it's got going on up here. And for the first time in an incredibly long time, I am forced. Forced? Sure, why not? That's the word that was used. I am forced to. I am forced to talk with myself. I am forced to reckon. Forced to reckon with myself. On some previous episodes, I, for lack of a better word, berate, belittle, condemn some coaches for not doing self-study. And I shit you not, like I do a good amount of self-study. But this is breaking through it. So I have a timeline that will get us to where we left off on the last one. So 9:15, this is a Monday, right? This is part of my daily journal. So if you follow this along on Instagram, you'll see every morning, or at least every weekday morning, I drop my morning pages. What are my morning pages? My morning pages are quite simple. When I show up at the office in the morning, I sit down and I fill a page of just a stream of conscious thought. And there are just a very few rules. 1, it's got to be a full page. 2, stream of consciousness. 3, no negative speak. 4, commit to action. And then what I do is I write that stuff down. I take a little snapshot of it and I post it on the story on Instagram. So I am going through my morning pages. I'm sitting down and like, man, I don't necessarily have anything positive to write because of the weekend I just had and the experience that I am currently living in. So instead, I decide to break with tradition and write down a timeline. So this is 9:15. This is Monday. Coming back from it's called what it is. It was a terrible weekend in Vegas. 9:15 timeline. Saturday, stomach stopped me from going to the fight. Okay, real quick. I was in Vegas for UFC. Had a good night Friday, had a terrible day Saturday, had some stomach problems, could not go to the fight. So, Saturday, stomach stopped me from going to the fight. I felt like I let Sean down. I felt that I missed a great opportunity, and I was mad at myself. Sunday, I rescheduled my flight for 1 hour later than what it was originally when I was originally scheduled to take off. Turned out it was fucking stupid. It was a waste of time. I was upset with myself because I made this change in my itinerary and it was in no way, shape, or form beneficial. It was only detrimental. And the thing was, it was only marginally detrimental. Like, it wasn't like, again, me shifting my flight 1 hour only affected me. It affected nobody else. But it was stupid. It was a dumb decision. It got me there's no benefit from it. So rescheduled my flight for 1 hour later. Turned out to be completely unnecessary. Met up with Tamika, and she relayed her meeting with an office that she was training, and she explained the woman that runs it. She's a fantastically successful chiropractor. She's also a new mom and a new wife, and her love language is touch. And she talked about it's weird that her love language is touch because she hates being touched. And Tamika was like, "No, you hate when people need to touch you. You like physical touch, but you hate it when it's needed from you." And I'm like, "That's interesting because my love language is quality time, but I hate when quality time is needed from me." This woman, her love language is physical touch, but she resents her husband. I don't want to say resents. I'm sure they have a great marriage. I imagine they're both wildly successful and awesome people, but like, her husband needs to be touched or needs physical touch because he's a man. Understandable. Her child needs physical touch because it's a child. Understandable. That is a need that they have. So that's why that doesn't necessarily fill her cup of physical touch because they need it. My need is quality time, but I'll have patients that need my time. And I'm like, man, like, why? Like, I've already adjusted you. I've done what you've asked of me, and now you have more questions. That's this for patients watching this. That's not every time. That's not all the time, but it is sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to be asked questions. So this realization made me mad because I'm like, well, I am supposed to want to give my time. I'm a doctor. People come to me for help and advice. I have put myself out there for other people to fill my schedule. So I'm mad at myself that people want my time, but that's what I want them to want. So I understand that Tamika gets it. And I understand now that I get it. And I understand that they that they don't get it, but it's the opportunity that I've given them. So that night, as I'm going to sleep, and it's like, man, like, I wish I wish people wanted to spend time with me the way that I want to spend my time. And that was a weird realization. So I go to sleep, and for someone who wants quality time, I feel alone. So Monday, I wake up and there's some song at the gym, and there's a rapper saying, "I need your love and affection." And I thought that was a weird thing for him to say because he's a rapper and he's a dude. So, I mean, generally speaking, stereotypical feeling, rappers are on an island. So I pictured his friends making fun of him for saying that. Like, dude, you came on, you need your love and affection. What the fuck, dude? Like, you're a bro. Like, you need to do it yourself. Like, and this isn't like a rapper thing. This isn't a race thing. It's a dude thing. If anything, it's a sexist thing because I'm a dude. And that's like, I could see myself, at least my old self, making fun of somebody for something like that. So I think that is weird. And then I get done, and then I get done working out. And as I'm in the sauna, I meditate in the sauna, and I'm listening to Tony Robbins' priming example. He said to give yourself 3 gifts to be grateful for. Man, and I struggled to think of one. I couldn't think of a single gift to be grateful for. And so this is just the timeline that I'm writing down. And I realized a lot of my journaling lately has been about me telling myself I'm worthy and deserving of love. And I realize that I don't have any idea how to actually love myself. I've been telling myself for days and weeks that I'm worthy of love, but I don't know how to love myself. Truly, wholeheartedly, absence of business success, material things, I don't know how to love myself. And I sat there in the sauna and I literally I started to cry. Thankfully, there's nobody else in there. So I envisioned my self-worth like this. Like there's a jar here for those of you watching. There's this jar and it's filled with rocks. Okay. And these rocks represent things. They represent my building that I own. They represent my truck that's paid off. They represent sports accomplishments. They represent the family that I have created and then I have. They represent my house. They represent the grades that I achieved. They represent the fact that I'm a doctor. These are all rocks taking up space in the jar that is my self-worth. So if any of you have heard this analogy before, you know what comes next in the original analogy. The professor, he dumps some beer in it. And the theme is, or the overarching theme, there's always time for beer with friends. So anyway, so I've got this jar of self-worth. I've got all these things that I have put my self-worth in. And then I drew a little pitcher, like a water pitcher above it, pouring into it. And this pitcher was my self-love. And what I do is I pour that pitcher in there and it fills up all the spaces and crevices between these big rocks that fill my jar of self-worth. And then I realized the things that take up the most space that gain me love are things that I have done for others, in a sense. I became a doctor to impress others. I paid off my student loans by myself to impress others. I started this podcast to impress others. I did well in school to impress others. Now, if I take all those rocks out and the only thing that is left in that jar is the liquid from the pitcher of self-love that I poured into, the jar's empty. Like the jar is basically empty. You take out all these things that held up the most space in my jar of self-love, and then all of a sudden, this jar, there's just a thin layer of liquid at the bottom. And the liquid, remember, the liquid is what I've poured into myself. If I take these things away, I realized how little I can shit. If I take these things away, I realize how little I contribute to me loving me. And man, I hated. I'm this is Monday morning and I'm writing this down and I hated that I came to this conclusion. I resented people. I resented people for convincing me. This is totally throwing people under the bus unnecessarily. I resented people for convincing me I needed to do these things to gain love from them. You need to be a doctor. If you're a doctor, then you'll be successful. If you're successful, then I'll appreciate you. You need to be a good husband. I mean, you should be a good husband, but you need to be a good husband. You need to do these things because if you do these things, then I will love you. You need to be a good father. You need to be good with money. You need to be a good doctor. Like, yes, you do need to do these things, but for whatever reason, the need that I needed to do these things was not a need that was inborn, that was self-created. The need was to get thrust upon me, and I accepted it because I was under the impression that if I do these things, then you will love me. And I need your love. I need your time. I resented people for making me quote unquote air quotes making me need these things. And then again, so this is still Monday morning. I sat in my office and I cried. I resented myself because I realized how much of my own self-worth was dependent on what others thought of me. Even going back to Vegas, I was upset that I let Sean down by not showing up. I hated everything about this conclusion. all the things I did for others, to impress others, to have them tell me thank you, to have them tell me I'm proud of you. It was all, the whole thing, my whole life has been an if this, then that statement. If I do this for you, then you will give me love. I hated my reliance on other people. I felt they set me up for this realization. If I take away all of those big rocks in the jar, the thing that is, then the thing is basically fucking empty, because all that's left is what I have poured into it myself. And I don't know how to love myself. I was really angry, and I was having these thoughts. These were thoughts I was having in the shower, and I was writing them down in the office here. I was angry at myself. I cried. I was resentful. I was hurt. I was sad. I was empty. I was a shell. I was lost. I was confused. I was alone because I took all these big rocks out. I took all these accomplishments out. And the only thing I took them out of my jar of self-love. And the only thing that was this jar was full. This jar of self-love, if you quote unquote, was full. Self-worth, it was full to the brim. But the thing that took up the most space in there was all these things that I quote unquote did for others. I did for others to be impressed by. And if I take those things out, the only thing left is the little bit of liquid at the bottom, the things that I did for myself. But then I realized these are shower thoughts that I documented. Then I realized that I am smart. I'm a problem solver. I learn new things all the time. I can learn how to love myself. I can learn how to turn that empty jar. If I take away all the rocks, I can take that jar that is basically empty. It's got a little bit of water at the bottom, a little bit of self-love at the bottom that I've poured into it, that I've contributed to myself. I can learn how to take that was poured from that tiny little pitcher, and I can learn how to increase the size of the pitcher. I can learn how to increase the vessel that I am pouring from. And I can turn that once empty jar into something that is absolutely overflowing with abundance, overflowing with gratitude, overflowing with a sense of self-love and self-worth that I have poured into myself. And why can I? Because I can learn how to do that. And like this was, I feel like as I'm relaying the story, I hope it comes across the emotion, the depth of emotion that I was feeling, because I can tell you right now, I haven't felt that depth of emotion fucking ever. Not only have I never felt that depth of emotion, I've never felt that depth of emotion for such an extended period of time. This had been going on, and this sounds weird saying it, this had been going on for almost 24 hours. That I was feeling emotion. And I realized, though, in this we'll call it a pit of despair, that might be a bit of hyperbole. In this pit of despair, I am able to learn how to fix it. Because I've fixed things before. I've fixed things for other people. I've fixed short-term problems for myself on the outside. I've fixed an office. I can learn how to fix myself. So in this deep, dark pit of despair, and it's only despair because it's an unfamiliar area, a place I had never been before, a place that was always there. It's just a place I have never explored before. And what place was this? This place was a place of feeling. We've talked in the past about how my three greatest emotions, my three only emotions, were happy, mad, sad. And I don't know what emotion this necessarily falls into yet, because I still don't have the vocabulary to put a name on it, but I'm in it. And I'm feeling it for the first time. And I am so excited, because I went down this dark path. Like, none of this was like suicidal or anything like that, but it was uncomfortable as all hell. And it was dark, and it was heavy, and it was thick. And then just, I don't know. And we've all been in like shitty places like that before, but something switched, something flipped. And I realized for the first time ever, that I have, not that I can fix this, because I realize that I can fix this, but not, I realize that I have the ability to fix this. I have the opportunity. Oh, I have the opportunity to fix this. I have the opportunity to explore growth, not to determine growth, not to lay the path, but to follow the path, to open up the path. And it's, man, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. So I wrote down I put my heart and soul into this thing, and I'm crying over my own written words. And in the past, this would die with me, but I shared it with Tamika, and then I shared it with a coach of mine, and then I shared it with another coach of mine, and then I shared it with another coach. Like, I'm just, here's, big, strong Dr. Taylor, all these things, opening up his fucking heart and showing it to people. And now I'm sharing it with you. Like, again, this would have absolutely died with me. And this opened up, this was only 2 weeks ago, and this opened up something awesome. And it, it, I'm struggling with the words here. I've had more realizations and more growth in the last 2 weeks since writing this than I've had in the last 40 years. And I am incredibly excited to see where this is going. And I want to share with you the next best step that I took. And that's going to be on the next episode, because this is an incredible time. This is an absolute reckoning. This is fun. And it's a place that I had fought to be in forever. I have pushed this thing away. I have made fun of people for doing this. And it's not because they were doing this, it's because I didn't know. I didn't know how to walk through this door. And I might have figured it out for me. And it's, man, it's exciting. So again, you will learn more here by shit. I will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. What did it take? It took 40 years and 70 some odd podcast episodes. So catch us on the next one, episode of Fueled by Spite. The next greatest thing. Maybe that'll be the title. The next greatest thing that I ever did. I'll catch you on the next one.